Welcome to Power Mondays. Blue Mondays are a thing of the past. Your Mondays will never be the same again. We enter our weeks with energy. This is Empowerment Podcast. We are here to empower you, to inspire you, and to equip you. You are chilling with Nompilo Gumede, the powerhouse. Enjoy the show. Greetings, good people. We are so happy that it's finally a Monday, and we're so happy that you tuned into the Empowerment Podcast. Thank you for choosing us as your podcast of choice. I am Nompilo Gumede, and this is Power Monday, brought to you by Empowerment Podcast. I hope you had a good week and you got to relax and you got to do the things that you wanted to do over the last weekend and actually spend time with the people that you love. I'd like to thank you for the feedback from last week's show. You guys, some people were calling me, some were actually SMSing the Empowerment Podcast, suggesting things from last week's show. The reviews were just amazing. I'd also like to send a shout out to Lungile Mngai, CASA. Oh, she made such a nice suggestion. I hope the leadership of the Empowerment Podcast will actually take it into consideration and put it in action. So you see, guys, when you suggest something, we take you serious and we want to put it into action, whatever you suggest. So we took those comments and the leadership is going to look at them and see if it's something that we can do in the near future. And yes. So continue to interact with us. Just give us feedback on how was the show and what would you like to see and what is going to change because of you listening to the show. And I'd like to remind you that we have a group on Facebook. It's called #Empowerment Podcast. Please follow us on Instagram as well. We are Empowerment Podcast. To give us feedback, please use our number on WhatsApp. 065-615-6641 065-615-6641. There's also an option to actually go back to old shows if you've missed some shows. Oh, before I forget, we also TikToking now. You know, TikTok is the new thing. So Empowerment Podcast is also there. So follow us and we'll follow you back. So ladies and gentlemen, the buzz, what's trending at the moment is the girl from Kwamashu, Nomzamo Mbatha, who has actually done the biggest thing and went to America and is doing big things. I was just watching interviews, her being interviewed on how she made it to the top. And I like her honesty that she mentions that it wasn't always easy. She had some interviews that didn't take her, she went for auditions and she wasn't taken, and so she kept on trying. And what's funny is I know that she's an accountant by profession. She went to school and did her BCom accounting, and she wanted to be a CA, who knows, but now she's in showbiz and she's doing well and she's really excelling at what she's doing. So it reminds me that your dreams are valid because a sky is the limit. So back to today's business. I've got someone who's also causing the waves because this person was on the papers last week, Thursday. He's written his 7th book and he's doing very well. I've had an opportunity to read his book. I'd like to welcome him on the show and I'll let him briefly introduce himself. He's an author of 7 books and he has master's in commerce degree. So you see the trend now that I'm talking about someone who went to school and did commerce, but hey, he's an artist. So dear artist, welcome to Power Monday.
Thank you so much, Nompilo, and thank you so much, and thank you for your invitation, and I'm very honored to be here, and it's exciting. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, can you please just tell us your name and where you come from?
I am Thulani Yeyeye Gumede. I'm an author, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I love the Lord. I love Jesus. Thank you.
Oh, wow. That is an awesome introduction. This is not the first time that this author's visiting, but today we just made it a special show because he's just released his book. And after reading that article, and I've had an honor and privilege to actually read his book. So I want us to just get more about this book because there's something different about it. What is different about your new book?
Sure. Thank you. That's a nice question to start with. I think there's a whole lot. A lot of people who have read my books, they will attest to the fact that my writing style, I tend to write about some of the things that I've gone through, or should I say, I use my lenses to write, the things I see, the things I feel. So the new book is totally different looking at the other books that I've written because now I'm focusing more on community development. It's something that I think has been there from day one when I wrote Ngaba, even Lovers and Mirrors and Love Rage, even when I moved from love to fatherhood, and Fathering Shadows and Fathering in the Dawn. Now Impumelelo Kamadakeni, which is my seventh book written in Zulu. I strongly feel that most of us are in motion, but we are not getting where we're supposed to be. Because we are not impacting our communities. If I were to sum up this book, I will say it's success redefined.
Wow.
Success redefined. We think there's quite a lot that we think when we think success.
Yes.
The reason why we are sort of amazed and wowed by Nomzamo that she comes from Kwamashu and now she's in Hollywood. It's because of the preconceived ideas that success only happens to people from America. Success only happens to people from Europe. So when somebody from Kwanongoma, somebody from Nkandla becomes president of the country, we don't align with it, So when I wrote this book, Impumelelo Kamadakeni, because Kamadakeni, it's somebody, it talks about my personal experience that I used to work in the construction industry, mixing sand and cement, working with those guys who, So when you look at somebody who works such jobs, you don't associate them with success, By success, I mean in a sphere where they will achieve academically to a point that they will even get a master's degree. So that on its own, it's just me trying to make waves in our communities because you find that there is hopelessness where we come from. People are hopeless because they think their dreams are not attainable. Their dreams are far. When they look at their dreams, they look at their dreams as if they are there in the galaxy. They look at the moon, they look at the stars, things that maybe they cannot reach, especially when we talk about the stars. But writing this book is just me trying to echo and also share a blueprint on how I made it, so that whoever is still stuck, whoever is hopeless, whoever feels that their dreams are not valid, they can read the book and feel, no, Thulani did it, I can do it, So in essence, the book is all about that,
Sure. That is so deep. I wanted to ask you, what should people expect? But it looks like you've covered that question for me. So that's all that we're going to expect. And I just wanted to ask you in particular, what does success mean to you? When are you in that point where you're saying, I'm now successful? I know that you deal with this topic in the book.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that's a good one. Because success, I define success also into, I'll say success can be defined in two ways. It's a place that you can reach, or it can also be defined as a place that we strive towards. We will have short-term and long-term goals. There are those goals that you can achieve and achieve in a short space of time, and then you'll have those dreams that will take you years to achieve. For an example, for somebody who wants to become a doctor, they want to get their PhD. Their success will be in attaining that PhD. But for them to attain that PhD, they'll have to pass the test, write their assignments. Those are the successes that also they'll be part and parcel of their long-term success. But in a nutshell, I would say success is attaining what is in your heart.
Yes.
Attaining what is in your heart. The reason why I'm saying that, it's easy to attain things that are not aligning with you.
Sure.
And when you attain those things, you can't say you are successful, you know.
Can you expand on that?
We hear of people who are CEOs.
Yeah.
They are all those things, you know. For an example, I wouldn't call myself a successful somebody just because I have a master's degree, you know. As much as I'm happy that I've achieved that, but my success comes in other things as well. For an example, when I've written a book and somebody reads my book and say, Thulani, I've read your book, your book has impacted me greatly. It has changed the way I look at things. To me, that is a success.
Sure. That's
now,
deep.
It's easy for somebody to be successful in things that do not align with them. Now, what happens is, as I write in the book, the world will clap and cheer for you, and you find that you are unable to sleep at night, you know, because it's not what aligns with you. There are talents and things that we can excel on. Sometimes we achieve things because we are hard workers, but not that those things align with us, you know. When you've done those things, you don't find that fulfillment, you know. So, you know, you have to do things that align with you. Things that if you were to die right now, you would feel like, I can stand before God and say, God, I've done whatever that you wanted me to do. So when I look at some of the things that I'm involved in, especially in the form of writing, I also thank God for the opportunities that have been paved by being a person with a master's or degree, you know. That aligns with me. I have to fulfill God in that without focusing more on writing and discarding that, you know. So in a nutshell, when we think about success, it has to align with what God has installed in you, you know, because we'll find ourselves trying to imitate Thulani, trying to imitate Nompilo, and then we find ourselves running empty.
And not reaching where God wants us
but
to.
But your success maybe will be in helping others achieve their goals.
Perfect. You know? Thank you so much. I'm learning from you as much as we're talking right now. So there's this thing of people wanting to compare themselves to other people, so it makes them feel short. And you mentioned something about fulfillment in the previous answer. What did you say to people who are busy comparing themselves to their neighbors, to their friends, and saying, I'll be good if I can write like Thulani, but maybe that person is not even called to be an author? What did you say about people trying to compare themselves?
From what I've seen, as human beings, we are forever chasing peace. We may sometimes come across as enemies of peace. But in true sense, you'll find that we are forever chasing peace. I've found that true peace comes in doing what you are called to do, you know. And some people will ask, but Thulani, how do I know what I'm called to do, you know? It's quite amazing. I grew up playing soccer, you know. At that time, at that age, you find that maybe we were 7 years old. We don't know even the positions, you know. We will all run into the field. But the amazing thing that will happen is that during the playing, you know, we'll be arranged automatically. Some will find themselves comfortable with being strikers, playing, you know, scoring goals. And some will feel comfortable in playing defense, you know. So you need to find that thing that ticks you, that thing that makes you move, you know. The minute you are comfortable in playing defense, but you want to shine and score goals, you find yourself running dry and running empty. So all I'm trying to say, there are people who can preach. There are people who are good at being at the door, greeting those who are coming in. All I can say is that when you are positioned or when you've put yourself in a place where you need to be, I am telling you, there is something that will happen. Whether it's you shaking a hand, somebody will walk into the door of the church feeling depressed, feeling like they don't know why they've come to church. But the minute you shake their hand, because you have positioned yourself where you need to be, you didn't think, I need to be at the pulpit where people will spend an hour looking at me, hearing me preach. Put yourself in a place where you know it takes with you. Even if it's for 30 seconds in that place, when you serve well in that place, you will find fulfillment. They say when you sweep the broom, when you sweep the floor, sweep it in a way that even angels, when they walk past that place, they will see that whoever was sweeping here was sweeping wholeheartedly, because you were doing something that aligns with the gift that God has given you.
Sure, doing something with all your heart.
Exactly, but when you compare yourself, you run dry, because you can never be Thulani. Me, a lot of people wonder, how come Thulani writes book and yet he's working full time? I wake up at 4 a.m. And every day I wake up at 4 a.m. It's either I read or I write. I don't feel any hardship in doing that. By 7 o'clock, I've already met my target, But there are people who cannot do that because they are not called to be writers. Sometimes we chase titles, because when people introduce you and they say, here's an author, I think there's that thing with it. So a lot of people will want to write. Some people, I believe, they're storytellers. Not writers. They're storytellers.
Definitely.
Some people are editors. They can read your work and edit your work and make it more beautiful. Some people can read your work and give advice as to how you need. There are different elements. Find yourself in all those elements.
And not try to be. Oh, that is so liberating. I like stuff like that. I like people living a fulfilled life. I really appreciate that. You know what? Just to share a joke, when I was asked to review this book, I actually had a list of like 20 names that I should get this person this book. That's how good it is.
I remember that.
Because I couldn't just read it by myself. I was like, these people that are close to me, I really want to plant a seed. And I hope as I plant a seed, they'll also plant a seed and want to give it to more other people.
Absolutely.
So while on that, where can we find these books?
These books are currently available on Google Play Store, or online. Other platforms, it's a bit difficult to get the books there because it's written on Zulu, and some of the platforms are not acceptive to Zulu books, Okay. But it is available on Google Play Store. It will also be available on these shops, Adam's Booksellers in Durban and Pietermaritzburg. Also, people that can get the book from me directly. So I believe I'll be leaving my numbers and details shortly. But yeah, the book will be available from this coming week. So by the 10th or so, the book will be available. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Then how can we get hold of you? Can you leave your social media handles or your numbers if people can contact you via WhatsApp?
My WhatsApp number is 072-182-4993. And then I'm available on Facebook, Thulani Yeyeye Gumede. Yeah, Thulani Yeyeye Gumede. You can also find me on YouTube as Thulani Yeyeye Gumede. I'm also available on Instagram as Thulani Yeyeye Gumede. So yeah, I think that's about it in terms of my contact details. Yeah,
that's great stuff. Any closing remarks?
I think my closing remarks is something that is weighing heavily on my heart, and I strongly believe that we can all pull together if we can apply this. I was inspired by Steve Biko. I think I read this book more than 10 years ago. So when I read the book, the guy was under house arrest, but he managed to build a clinic for his community.
Sure.
The biggest challenge that I've seen with us is that we have associated success as that transition from moving from those poor communities to suburbs. A lot of us have done that, but I think we will be deceived to think success is that transition from that community to suburbs. And a lot of us, we drive back to our communities driving in these fancy cars and we think it's all, I was once confused about that. I thought because my community knew me as a poor person and now they see me driving a car, that's all, But I've realized that we have not done anything if we don't take time to sit down with our communities and explain to them and share the blueprint on how you made it, It's one thing to be successful and have people see you that you are successful. It's another to share your blueprint on how you have made it. This is why I've written this book, Impumelelo Kamadakeni. The aim is to share the blueprint on how I made it. When you read the book, you find all the details on how I made it from Ukba Umatageni to a person right now who has a family, a beautiful family, working for one of the biggest companies in South Africa and writing books at the same time. So the book is a blueprint. We can all make it. Your dreams are valid. You just need to stretch your hand and attain them, regardless of whether you can speak English, regardless of whether you come from poor backgrounds, regardless of whether your school the school you attended was not a good school, regardless of whether you are a dropout, you can still achieve your goals. That's my closing remarks.
Wow, what a way to start our Monday. Thank you so much, Thulani, for your time and for your heart. You know, after reading this book, I really, really felt so empowered. I felt like I can do anything, and it's not too late. As old as I am or as young as I am, like I just want to remind our listeners out there that it's really not too late to live the life that you want. Actually, your books have helped me. Now I'm an avid reader. Like I read every now and then. And when I was reading this book, it reminded us that the world you desire can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It is yours. This is when I was reading the 5 a.m. Club. So you're reminding us again that our dreams are valid. We can achieve whatever we want if we focus on it. And we must be real to ourselves by doing things that are fulfilling to us. So you can be a master's in commerce graduate, but now you are excelling at writing books. It's not the end.
Absolutely. Just another closing remark. Paul was the biggest preacher. The guy was highly involved, but he also built tents. So there's this slavery mentality of believing that you can only do one thing. If you're an engineer, that's the only thing you can do. If you're a teacher, that's the only thing you can do. We need to liberate ourselves. There's so much to do out there, you know. And some of these talents cannot feed our families. They cannot do all these other things. As much as we find fulfillment in them, there are other things that we'll need to do in order to stay relevant and also be happy at what we do, you know.
Perfect. So thank you so much for tuning into Power Monday. We continue on the same tip next week, reminding you that it doesn't matter where you started. What matters is where you are going. So have a blessed week from me, Nompilo Yeyeye Gumede, the powerhouse. Have a blessed week. Happy Monday. Be productive. God bless you. Bye-bye.